Hello, welcome to my video, which is looking at a car ornamenter. It's a model car, but it's an ornament. This glass Citroen XM as given out to press members of the press at the launch of the XM in September 1989 at Monte Carlo, as mentioned on this. Now, let me just show you a model of an XM that I have, a proper 43rd scale model. This, I think, is a Norev model, and I do have a separate video on that. And this is a 43rd scale now, which would mean that this glass one is probably around a 28th or a 32nd scale. Probably a 28th scale I would put that at. So slightly bigger than a scale extra car. Anyway, this is the reason I have these is because I used to own a Citroen XM for 7 years. I had a 2-litre SEI, so an early first year XM, and it looked exactly like this, but it was a slightly bluish grey rather than this brighter silvery grey. Anyway, now one thing I'm going to draw your attention to is the wheels. They've got a Citroen SM style to them with these double pieces at the bottom, and on this glass one you can see the same elements on the wheels. Now if you're looking at this glass one, you're wondering what you're seeing. It's because you can see the interior of the car as well. But first, let's look at the way it mounts on the plinth. It has to go this way round. The XM had a very short rear overhang, but a long front overhang, so it fits on its plinth that way. Now, you could put it on there that way, but that would leave you too much space on this side. Now, I mention that because this molded glass has a seam line down through here and down through here, which is a shame because this is the side of the model you're seeing when you display it, because the nameplate is on this side, so that seems to me a kind of a mistake, and it's a shame they didn't decide they were going to mount, cut these wheel holes so they're further this way, so the car could face the other way, so you've got the slightly better finished side of the car. But anyway, there we go. Now, interestingly, this is interesting. If I look at the dashboard, there's obviously no wheel. Let's get rid of this piece. Let's get it in the way. And move that out a bit. Right, you'd almost wonder... No, okay, so there's no steering wheel, but the dash is cut away there as if the steering wheel were to go in here, and then the dash comes further that way. It's very sloping dashboard on these things, a beautiful interior, wide, open, expansive. Anyway, so this is a hollow bottomed piece, so you can get right into here, into there, and you've got the underside of the seats and the back seats. So you've got the detail on the seats there, fairly accurate as I remember, considering that this is a glass model. You've got the cutout for the windscreen wiper there, so let's just put this alongside it again. So okay, and you've got a cutout for the windscreen wiper there. So this is a 2 windscreen wiper model, more conventional rather than some of the maybe the CX had a central single wiper, I think, if I remember rightly, so the predecessor to this car. On this one, you've got some engine detail there, some kind of intake perhaps. I presume that's the front bank of the V6. So on these XMs you had, I believe, basically the Peugeot, Renault, Volvo PRV V6 at 2.9 to 3 litres. It wasn't the later V6 in the C5 and the C6. Anyway, right, looking at the car, I can't tell whether it's a manual or an automatic. There's a little bit of a lump down there, but who knows. Ideally these cars should be automatics because they have a foot operated parking brake, and trying to juggle that when you're driving a manual car is really difficult. So my 2-litre SEI was a manual car, and it made it a real juggle because you come up to the stoplight, you have to take it out of, so you put your foot on the clutch, obviously as you're coming to a halt, you have to take it out of gear before you can put the parking brake on, and then when you're putting it back into gear, well, that's the tricky bit. At least releasing it, you don't need your foot to release it, because you used your right hand. On a right-hand drive car, your right hand, left-hand drive car, your left hand to do the release. Anyway, there is a bubble in here. There, that's a bubble, but not a big deal. It's just sitting there in the middle. Okay. Now on these cars you had an interior, you had the rear hatch, but you also had an interior rear window, which is, it looks like there's one down there that's fallen into the boot of the car, which is a bit ridiculous. I'm not sure why that's looking like that. Anyway, rear wiper detail, and this spoiler, the higher rear spoiler of the early cars. Later, maybe phase 2, I don't know what you'd call them, XMs, had a lower spoiler coming off the back. I preferred this bigger phase 1. I tend to prefer pre-facelift cars in general. Some aero edge there, just like on the real car, to fair in the rear wheels, and of course a low part on the wheel arch there to give you a bit more aero. And you've got this bluff rear end. You've got some detail there. You had lights at either end and down here. I can't remember if there were lights in here. No, there weren't. Let's have a look there. So you have lights along the bottom, and then you have a plastic panel along there, a styling panel, but lights at the top as well. Oops, sorry. You've got a towing eye on this one. Wow, okay, interesting. I can't see exhaust pipes at all, unless that is supposed to represent the exhaust pipe. Pardon me, excuse me. Because on this one here, you've got a twin rear exhaust pipe. No doubt this is the 3-litre 12-valve automatic depicted. I've got a load of videos on various Citroen models. If you're interested, there'll be a playlist linked to from the end of this video, and do subscribe to the channel to have a look. Looking at the bonnet, there is a rippling here where the moulding hasn't been perfect, but it's a nice piece. It's hefty. I'm not sure whether that's going to be 700 grams maybe. It's a good weight to it. You can get a sense of that as I do that. Okay, and the headlights, you've got detail on the headlights there, which is nice to see. Okay, yeah. Anyway, it's interesting to have this. They obviously leaked onto the free market once the journalists decided they weren't too bothered to keep it, and they could sell it on to people like myself. So I probably got it second or third hand after the journalist, so I'm sure I didn't buy it directly from a journalist. I must have bought this maybe 2012, 2013, I'm not sure really. Anyway, thanks for watching. I've got a load of other videos, model cars mainly on the channel. A lot of 43rd, a lot of HPI and Spark models, lovely quality models there. So, but some 18th and 12th and 64th scales as well. So thank you for watching, and you'll hear from me again next week.